Hello, everybody. This is coming up tonight on Now. A fallen officer rejected from the memorial in Augusta.
He's been honored by so many others. Where's the honor here?
The family is outraged, but officials say the officer doesn't qualify.
And I wanted to come out here and do a bunch of yard work, and I'm afraid to.
What are those caterpillars crawling up the side of a mid-coast home? You asked us to find out, and we discovered those bugs can be dangerous for your health.
And we couldn't not talk about this.
Laurel.
Yanni or Laurel? We will have the definitive answer from the experts. But first, we want to hear from you. Get on your phones to vote in today's Pulse poll.
This is News Center Now.
It has been a hard year for Maine's law enforcement community. Tomorrow, police officers killed in the line of duty will be honored as their names are placed on a memorial in our state's capital. Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. We will get to that story in just a moment. But first, we want to check in with Keith Carson. Keith, the weather today, is it yammy? Yanny?
Oh gosh,
or
don't even
is it
start with
the
that.
Other? No.
It was floral.
It was,
I heard it first from Todd Gutner, I will say that.
You heard what?
I heard about this whole debate from Todd Gutner on the
Todd
Morning
knew
Report.
something pop culture related?
Yeah,
Yes.
That's weird. Somebody told him.
There's your headline. There's your headline. Let's take a look at temperatures today. It was a bright day, but not that warm. Warmest spot, Freiburg, 67. Most of us, though, in the 50s along the coastline for highs, 61 in Bangor. It's kind of hard to do that, to stay that cool with full sunshine this time of the year. The sun angle is relatively strong. Temperatures down in the low 50s along the coastline, 48 in Rockland and 61 in Augusta. But we did trade that for a lot of sun, as I mentioned. Some high thin clouds right now moving along the coastline and into the interior. We'll see some fog later on tonight. That'll be the main feature of the evening. After that, we burn the fog off tomorrow morning. Guys, looks like tomorrow afternoon will be spent in the 70s with sunshine, so substantially warmer than today.
That works for me. All right, thank you. As we mentioned at the top of our show, tomorrow police officers killed in the line of duty will be honored and with their names placed on a memorial in Augusta.
That's right. Officer Nathan Desjardins will have his name added to the wall. He was killed in a boat search and rescue 1 year ago in Freiburg, but one officer's name will not be on the list, and it's not sitting well with his family. Christina Rex joins us now from Bangor with more.
Yeah, Lee and Lindsay, Chris Gardner ruptured his Achilles heel in a training session with the MDEA, that's the Maine Drug Enforcement Agency, back in 2016. It was in surgery for that injury that he died unexpectedly. His family just got back from D.C., where his name was placed on the National Memorial for Fallen Officers. They're upset and wonder if the National Monument considers him an officer killed in the line of duty. Why not Maine?
And we thought, well, it's just a mistake. They didn't get the whole story, or maybe they lost part of the application, or maybe they misunderstood.
Shock when Bill Gardner found out his brother was rejected for a spot on the Maine Law Enforcement Officers Memorial.
I'm so proud of him.
Family and co-workers say Chris Gardner was a model officer, serving decades both on the UMaine Police Department and at the Maine Drug Enforcement Agency.
If you could speak to recruits at the Criminal Justice Academy and say, we need you to be like this guy, that's what you would do.
Gardner died from surgery complications after a training injury on the job in November 2016. After his unexpected death, the awards came in like a flood. Praise for his work to stop a major New England drug pipeline.
Drug work came before everything, but it was his passion.
His family just returned from Washington, D.C., where Gardner was honored by the president with his name placed on a wall for officers killed on duty.
As a family, it's a club that you never want to belong to.
But for the annual memorial ceremony in Maine, the family was told Officer Chris Gardner didn't make the cut.
Are honored in Washington, D.C., but not honored in Augusta? Makes no sense.
They're disappointed and frustrated that Gardner won't be honored on Thursday and hope to see change in the future.
My brother would be here today if it wasn't for that he was injured on duty.
And because of an injury at work, he's no longer with us. It's a no-brainer. Of course he belongs on the Maine wall.
So we spoke with Robert Schwartz, who's the executive director of the Maine Chief of Police Association, and he said each and every death is evaluated and voted on by the committee. He says there are two main criteria here. The death must A, be in the line of duty, and B, be during a police action, like wrestling with a suspect. Work-related deaths, like training injuries, don't count. Now that ceremony is tomorrow at 11 in Augusta. Lee and Lindsay.
And Christina, Officer Desjardins will be added to the wall. What about Corporal Cole, killed in the line of duty less than a month ago?
So Corporal Cole, we're told, will actually be added to the wall as well, but not at this year's ceremony. That won't be until next year. Guys?
All right, Christina, thank you very much. Other news now, a laundry list of charges are lobbed at Tyler Tibbetts, the man accused of leading police on a high-speed chase after stealing a cruiser in Dexter. He appeared in court for the first time today, charged with stealing 2 cars and illegal possession of a firearm.
Anthony Best was stabbed in a Denny's parking lot 2 years ago. Today, Portland police say Best was the aggressor and the person with a knife acted in self-defense. No charges will be filed and the case is now closed.
Mainers, especially those who live in the Mid-Coast, are all too familiar with brown-tail moths, but there's another version of the pesky pest that you might have noticed in your yard, and they too can wreak havoc on trees. In the case of one Maine woman, on your health as well.
Wanting to know what they are, she wrote to us. She says, would like to know how to get rid of these, and could my coughing and breathing issue have been caused by trying to get rid of them? We get some answers in this latest Ask Now.
It's disturbing to see them all over the house and near my windows.
Brunswick resident Donna Deegan first noticed clusters of these tiny creatures when she left her home Monday.
Probably thousands of them all over the house. It was gross.
She tried to pressure wash them. Shortly after, suffered an asthma attack.
And I've never had an asthma attack as bad as it was the other night.
The next day, the creepy crawlies came back.
It makes me wonder if there's others underneath the house.
And so did her asthma attacks.
I was really afraid that I could have died.
Desperate for answers, Deegan reached out to us.
You can see them all over the gutter.
We sent our images to Colleen Tierling, an entomologist with the Maine Forest Service. What have you determined?
This is gypsy moth. There was a gypsy moth egg mass that was laid last year on the siding there, and they have just hatched.
She says they are likely looking for a tree to feed on, like this oak tree just steps away. The tree, the least of Deegan's concerns.
If you are asthmatic, certainly see all those little hairs. If you breathe in the hairs, they can be irritating.
Is there anything she can do to get rid of them?
Brush them off and put them in soapy water.
It's funny, as you're talking, Donna just brushed one off my shoulder. The key ingredient here is soap. Water straight from your garden hose won't do the trick. According to the Maine Forest Service, insecticides can also be applied to control the caterpillars.
Now I just want these things gone.
State entomologists say the gypsy moth is related to the brown-tail moth, but it's not nearly as toxic. If you ever have a question you want us to look into, please reach out to us at asknow@newscentermaine.com.
So anybody who watches our show regularly knows that sometimes our pulse polls are pretty serious. We ask questions about your taxes or maybe some political leaders.
And other times they're for fun. So you decide which category applies today.
I was in Team Panic, quite frankly, because I was realizing that I heard Yanni and I thought I was supposed to be hearing Laurel.
You tell us, is it Yanni, I'm sorry, Lee, or Laurel? Go to pulse.newscentermaine.com or open the Pulse tab on our mobile apps to vote. We have scientific proof later on now.
Get to the bottom of this. All right, also ahead. Who slashed the tires on 22 school buses? The crime caught on camera coming up next.
Coming up tonight on 207, you'll meet a couple from Indiana who found a bar in Maine they liked so much, they got married there. And we've got music from Sparks the Rescue on 207. Oh, goodbye, darling.
A day off from school in Poland because of these vandals caught on camera slashing through the tires of 22 school buses. RSU 16, which includes Minot, Mechanic Falls, and Poland, canceled class because there was no way to get the kids to school on time. Total damage is up to $12,000. The vandals covered their faces, but officials hope the security system will help track down those criminals.
Teacher walkouts are sweeping across the country. Today, the color red at the North Carolina State House. Educators and supporters marched through Raleigh demanding a bigger budget for education. It was a hot spot on Snap Maps today as teachers spread their message on social media.
Now, the sheer size of the group demanded attention. About 15,000 people descended on the capital city. These teachers want a higher salary and easier access to resources.
Now, a South Portland teacher spends more than $300 of her own money on school supplies and snacks for her students. The national average is almost $500. And we told you about one resource for Maine teachers and their materials in southern Maine yesterday. But for our Lewiston Auburn area teachers, there's the Share Center. The nonprofit has locations in Auburn and Topsom. And the school or school district signs up for an annual membership. Then teachers and faculty can take whatever supplies they want, notebooks, mugs, paper, science materials, absolutely free. The director says schools usually get enough supplies to pay for their membership fee 30 times over. And if you want to donate to the Share Center, it's as easy as making a drop-off, and we have more information at our website.
All right, let's get serious. It is time to make a choice.
Laurel. What else could it be?
Fascinating.
Yes. What does it say? Agreed.
From your office to Senator King's office on Capitol Hill, everyone is arguing about this Instagram story. Is it Yanny or Laurel?
Tell us what you hear right now by voting in today's Pulse poll. Go to pulse.newscentermaine.com or open up the Pulse poll on our mobile app. Also ahead, the severe storms just missed us yesterday. Will our luck hold up? That forecast is coming up.
Okay, did you know that the month of May is Better Speech and Hearing Month?
Well, I did, and we are asking you because many of you probably spent a good part of the last 24 hours either looking for your own hearing to be tested or maybe suggesting that others get their hearing tested, and it's all due to Yanny versus Laurel mania. It's not Christmas time, but do you hear what I hear has been a common saying in homes and workplaces. It all started with a relatively innocuous tweet from Chloe Feldman. Now, Feldman did not come up with this test. She came across it, then tweeted it, then internet gold. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, has an opinion on whether the clip says Yanny or Laurel. The Philadelphia Police Department asked people to stop calling 911 to ask. And by the way, it's Laurel. A pair of kings weighed in, both Angus and Stephen. And of course, this debate could not continue without hearing from, well, Yanny. Somebody hears Yanny, somebody hears Laurel. Somebody hears Yanny, somebody hears Laurel. How is this even possible? Let's find the answer.
I've only heard Yanny.
I heard Yanny, and then ever since I've heard Laurel.
Jamie Healy and Hannah Milstein are audiologists, and believe it or not, there's some method to all of this madness.
There's a little bit of a high frequency difference between the two, Laurel and Yanny. So if you have maybe better hearing for high frequencies, you would probably tend to hear Yanny, whereas if you have a little high frequency hearing loss, mild or moderate, you might hear Laurel.
There was some proof out there that Laurel is the original word. The original recording is Laurel, and that there was like a high frequency overlay that put on the audio that created the word Yanny. Basically, you're listening to two words being said at once.
Being in the presence of the experts, it was time to get the final answer once and for all.
Laurel. I still hear Yanny.
Laurel.
Laurel.
She's the youngest. We might have.
All right, so I feel like we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one. In case you were wondering, a great example of this part of your brain is kind of like if you're in a crowded room and you're still talking to one person. Even though you can hear and kind of perceive all the sounds that are around you, your brain is focused on the person that you're talking to, and that's why you can hear the ambient sound, but you can hear really what you're saying.
Like sometimes when you get mad at me because I have selective hearing.
Right.
Because I'm not listening to you, not by choice, but just because it's what happens.
Sometimes, right, or always. Don't forget you can still vote on our Pulse poll, pulse.newscentermaine.com or the Pulse tab on your
59% saying Yanny.
I would
Speaking
think
of
that
tuning
all
people out,
the children that you have would damage the high frequency part.
I'm in
of your hearing.
on but I'm in on Laurel, so but I was in on Yanny, and then it changed. I got older all of a sudden.
I'm wondering how many. I was saying, I wonder how many audio files are out there now that other people have tweeted, because that would make a big difference if they're get a control.
The great
for this.
unknown question still is who created this, because nobody knows yet or is taking credit for being the one to even throw this on the internet in the first place.
Doesn't matter. Whoever tweets it out and gets retweets. That's what. Isn't
that
how it works?
I don't know.
You would know better than
You're the king of social media. How do I know?
That's how the Twitters works, I think. Yeah. All right. Anyways, nice day today. Bright day, but cool. Take a look at temperatures right now. Portland 53, 51 in Cape, and a little bit warmer in Bethel at 64 degrees. To the north, same deal. Cooler along the coastline, warmer inland, mid-60s there. Actually slightly overachieving inland compared to forecast highs yesterday. A couple of high thin clouds out there along the coastline and into the mountains of Maine a bit. We'll see a few of those roll in tonight. Let's have a look at Sunday River. I pulled this camera up to see what the cloud cover looked like, and there's some out there, but I was interested to see there's still some snow on some of the peaks out there. So a long season, although of course Jeff liked that. Our director Jeff is a big skier. He's like, snow? I heard snow. Our forecast, you can see that onshore flow bringing some fog in tonight. So that will be the case tomorrow morning. I think is foggy and a little cloudy along the coastline, and it's probably not until late morning that we clear that out. Once we do, though, off to the races, temperatures in the mid-70s in most spots, a lot of sunshine. The second half of the day tomorrow looks beautiful, and then another nice day on Friday, but back to cool. Temperatures only in the upper 50s and low 60s despite mostly sunny skies through the day on Friday. Still watching Saturday because there's a big area of moisture to our south that's being suppressed by a ridge of high pressure. So how quickly it progresses into that ridge on Saturday will determine our forecast. At the moment, it looks like it'll be just a little bit slower. So we start Saturday morning with some clouds and some drizzle, but the rain doesn't really get here until Saturday afternoon over southern Maine. And for a lot of us, it's Saturday night that's raining before it gets out of here on Sunday and just a few scattered showers. So the weekend doesn't look amazing, but it doesn't look like a washout either. Temperature trend pretty good. Next week, we roll into the upper 60s and low 70s for the most part. So again, it looks like Saturday night is the rainy part of the forecast, which used to matter to me until I had a baby. Then it didn't really matter. So that's what it will be wearing out there.
Sleeping weather.
Yeah.
I don't even have an excuse.
Whatever.
And I know what you mean.
Being a Mainer is a good excuse. That's the funny thing I found with this is we'll go to bed at like 10, you know, because of the baby. I look outside, I look at the lights in Portland, I'm like, meh. Most of us are already sleeping anyways. It makes me feel better. It's not like being in Miami or anything like that. Yeah,
exactly.
You're not missing anything. It's okay.
That sleeps. All right, Keith, thanks so much. I won't be sleeping for this. People all over the world are gathering to watch Prince Harry and American actress Meghan Markle tie the knot bright and early.
Oh, I can't wait. NBC's Jay Gray gives us a glimpse of royal wedding fever.
The pilgrimage to Windsor Castle continues, a crowd that includes a lot of Americans.
The pomp and circumstance, just everything, see how beautiful she looks.
Tens of thousands of Meghan, Harry, and royal family fans gathering, some literally setting up camp, hoping to get a glimpse of the royal couple on their wedding day.
But to actually buy a plane ticket and then sleep on the streets for 3 or 4 nights. I want them to come through those gates, and then I want them to look at me and wave and smile.
But the bride's father, Thomas Markle, apparently won't see that smile in person. He's said to be back in the hospital for heart surgery after chest pains on Monday.
Well, I feel for Meghan, of course. It's sad for her just a few days before the wedding.
The prevailing thought now is Markle's mother, Doria Ragland, will walk her down the aisle as she becomes a member of the monarchy.
We've had precedents of a woman walking her daughter down the aisle from Queen Victoria herself, who actually accompanied her youngest daughter down the aisle for her marriage after Prince Albert's death.
There will be no maid of honor, but we now know the wedding party will include 10 bridesmaids and page boys, all under the age of 10, and including, of course, Prince George and Princess Charlotte. The latest chapter in this real-life royal fairy tale.
Wedding parties that include kids aren't unusual for the royals. In fact, you may remember all of Princess Diana's bridesmaids were children. Jay Gray, NBC News, Windsor, England.
You can get all your royal wedding coverage right here on News Center Maine starting at 4:30 in the morning, but it will go until 11 for the late sleepers among us.
He said,
You have no idea how special that was for him. He died holding his cane. Never talked about what he did, but that cane was everything to him.
In her almost 8 years as the First Lady of Maine, Ann LePage has made working with veterans her top cause. Tomorrow night on Now, we will sit down with the First Lady to chat about that very important work and, of course, her husband. A conversation with the First Lady tomorrow night on Now.
I'm hanging out with Cindy Williams in the newsroom to see what's coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. Maine veterans say that they are not getting the health care that they need stateside. We're going to hear about changes to the VA system coming up at 5:30. Also ahead, she gave away her kidney to a complete stranger. Now the recipient is thanking the woman who saved her life. Those stories and much more all ahead in the next half hour.
All right, Cindy, thanks so much.
Thanks.
And more now when we come back.
This picture captures so much of what's happening in Hawaii right now. The islands are known for their beautiful beaches and world-class golfing, but the vacation destination is just going through a real crisis. Thousands of people left behind their homes and belongings. Deadly lava continues to flow and cascade down the island, and the volcano hasn't even exploded yet. The ash cloud seen in these pictures is obviously the big concern right now. And I mean, this is just, we see these images in this video. It's been coming out for a while now. It's just awful to think what's going on.
I almost can't, doesn't feel real from afar.
Guys still golfing. A lot of aerosols injected in the atmosphere, which actually kind of changes the local climate sometimes. So
Pulse poll real quick. I can't see the numbers. So I gotta go over here.
Yanni wins.
Yanni is at 60%.
Whatever.
And those of you who said Yanni, you're wrong. And Laurel, 40%.
Is this how it works?
Sometimes less is more. You ever watch golf?
I don't think that's how it works.
Wins in golf.
True.
Hello.
We had our own betting controversy today already. All right, let's take a look at today's brain drops, which is interesting. They found the largest black hole that they've ever found, some Australian astronomers. The size of this black hole, roughly speaking, and this is a simulation of what it looks like, is 20 billion times the size of the sun.
Oh my gosh.
And keep in mind that the sun, by volume, can fit about 1 million Earths in it. So if you felt significant today, this should help. Remember, the idea of a black hole is basically that it's an area of so much gravitational pull that nothing can escape the pull, including light. That's why it appears black. However, if this one was close to our Milky Way, it would be very bright because it's ingesting so much other matter that there's explosions occurring around it. So it would be about 20 times brighter than the moon if we could see it with our naked eye. It's crazy how small we are.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, when you really think about this stuff, you just you feel so insignificant.
Jess tells me that every day I come in.
I was going to say, giving
this really
you
helps.
perspective
this
is
really
a
helps.
good thing. All right, News Center 5:30 starts right now.